Hi guys, it's Holly here at Faces and welcome back to the Face It podcast. Today I'm here with the lovely Victoria, who is CEO of Tattoo Masters Academy UK and Ostara Wellbeing. We've got quite a few different things to discuss with Victoria today based on what she does. But thank you so much for joining me on the podcast. It's really good to have you on.
Oh, it's lovely. Thank you ever so much for having me.
You're more than welcome. So let's start with how you got into the industry then, because what you do now is obviously different to what you started with. So do you want to just give us a bit of an overview on your story and how you've got your business where it is today?
Of course, yeah. So I started off really, I was an artist before I came into beauty, and I started tattooing as well prior to looking into the beauty industry. Also on that journey, I became an educator. So I was doing a business degree at the same time. And I actually became a business studies teacher of like GCSEs, A levels.
Oh my gosh.
I did that for a good like 7 odd years whilst building up and learning beauty therapies. So
Yeah.
I was doing that, building it up, had my clients, and then eventually it came to that point where I was like, I want to be able to teach this, the beauty aspect. I want to be able to share that with people. So I took that leap of faith
Yeah.
and started Ostara, where I mainly focused on like the holistic treatments, the beauty treatments, worked my way into the PMU industry, and then it kind of grew from there, really.
Amazing. So with regards to Astara, do you still perform treatments or are you predominantly an academy? Yeah, you do treatments as well.
Yeah, we do. Yeah. So we have the clinic aspect. We are predominantly the academy, but we still
Yeah.
have the clinic aspect. Yeah.
Okay, amazing. And then where did Tattoo Masters come in then?
So because of my background with the artistry, it was so difficult to get an apprenticeship. And I was extremely lucky that I had friends who were tattoo artists that could help me and get me into that. But I didn't have the confidence to go out there and say, yeah, I'm a tattoo artist, because I also had that beauty background as well.
Yeah.
Um, and it's only been like over these past few years since doing PMU and having clients asking me, like, do you do other tattoos? Like, I've seen your artwork and
Yeah.
stuff. Um, that I was like, hang on a minute, there's almost like a bit of a barrier of entry into getting into the industry. Like if you can't get into tattooing and get an apprenticeship, there's no qualification for it.
Yeah,
So
you know what? I've never really thought about it, but now we're talking about it. I'm like, yeah, you don't just go and do like a 3-day course and like become a tattooist. Like it, first of all, it's down to talent with like
yeah,
you have to be a good artist in general, let alone drawing on the skin. You have to on paper, you have to be an amazing artist. So it's talent. But then also, yeah, it's not something you can just go and like qualify in. You're so right.
exactly. For me, I was like, no, there's got to be another way, because getting an apprenticeship is difficult. It's like gold dust. There's not a lot of incentive for artists to actually offer people an apprenticeship. Like there's no
Yeah.
funding from government.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, we ended up, I looked into it. We're one of only two places in the whole of the UK that do now have a regulated, like it's an Ofqual award embodied permanent tattooing
Oh my
qualification.
gosh. I didn't
And
even
that
know that. That's incredible.
this is it. So it's still quite a new thing that we're getting out there. And obviously it is very like going from tattoo artist industry where it's like, oh, that's, there's no such thing as a qualification. It's like, well, it's just trying to say to people that there's another route now, and that we're trying to guide and support people with that. And of
Oh,
course, as well, from the beauty side of it, we do offer, like we have a tiny tattoos training. I think we were one of the first ones to get accredited, because no insurers would like take us on at the time. I'm like, this is a thing. Like
yeah. And
it's happening.
also, if you're allowed to inject people's faces, why can't you tattoo?
This is it. We really fought for that. We really fought for it, but I'm so proud of it. It's
Amazing.
just escalated, and we're just hoping to get it out there more and more.
Fantastic. So with regards to the off-qual qualification for tattooing then, what's like the process from when you onboard a student to actually when they qualify? Because I know obviously with the level 7 in aesthetics, that's off-qual, that's like a year's qualification. There's practical, there's assessments, there's all sorts of things. But obviously for I suppose like not everyone can do it, can they? Because you've got to have that initial talent.
So for us, we have that kind of process where we will look at your portfolio. We want to be as respectful to the tattoo industry as possible.
Yes.
Because we realise that, you know, it is a different way of going into this, and there has been some resistance to it. So we want to treat it as much like an apprenticeship as possible, where people are getting hands-on experience and also mentorship afterwards. So we'll look at their portfolio, like it's all taught by tattoo artists. We'll explain the process. We have them come in to the academy to do training with us, and then they have weeks where, like a good 16 weeks, where they're having to build a portfolio up in a range of styles. They do have assignments. It's a qualification at the end of the day. Like they've got to know the health and safety. They've got to put that all into practice. And then they come back and they do practical assessments, where we see whether they're safe, essentially, to go out there to develop their art. And if they can get an apprenticeship and anything else from that, then fantastic. But a lot of our students do set up for themselves now and create their own.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask. I
career.
was going to say, so what's sort of the next step? Because obviously if it's a new qualification as well, you know, if a student went to, say, a tattoo artist or a tattoo business and said, look, I've got this qualification, is it known enough for the, like, what would they say? Would they be like,
Look, the tattoo industry, like they're brutal. Like it is a totally different world, and hence why it's hard in an aspect for me, because I come from both, so I can see it from both angles. No, I mean, it's not recognised enough. We do have some artists on board that are quite open-minded, but at the end of the day, we do have to respect and appreciate that apprenticeships are the traditional way. So for us, we are appealing to people who perhaps they've never wanted to get an apprenticeship, or they can't because they've got a family. They can't afford to give up. I mean, most apprenticeships are not paid. So it is for people who perhaps couldn't go down the apprenticeship route and were looking to do something for themselves. But rather than just sitting at home and kind of scratching themselves up and not knowing how to do it, we want to give them that hands-on experience. So it's an alternative route. But a lot of our students, I mean, our popular one is our Tiny Tattoos training. Because that is for like PMU artists to kind of convert over. But we don't just teach fine line. We don't keep it to that. We give them a well-rounded basis of what you'd need as a tattoo artist. So
because the health and safety, the processes are still going to be the same. It's just the art, isn't it? That's different.
It is. It's the designing. It's body placement. You know, there are a few sort of, I call it a bit tattoo taboo things, of the way you place your design. I don't like seeing designs that are meant, you know, are upside down and stuff like that. So it's all these little things that just to be respected, you know, within that community, I think have that good basis. And like a lot of our students, they've switched from their beauty businesses now, and all they're focusing on is like tiny tattoos and then building their way up.
I love that, because I feel like everyone, people that I tend to speak to, so, you know, users of faces, predominantly beauty and aesthetic practitioners, they'll start with lashes, then they'll do nails, then they'll do facials, then it grows into aesthetics, and that's a really natural progression. But like, guys, if you don't want to do aesthetics, do tattooing. Like, that's so cool, especially coming from a PMU background, that's this, I don't want to say it's the same because it's not, but it's very similar, isn't it? Because you've got to have the skill and the eye for detail. The only thing is it's not permanent.
That's the thing that always got me, is tattooing is so unregulated compared to PMU. Like, I have to have a level 4 to do my PMU. Obviously, like, you have to have your licensing and everything, but to think that you don't have to have a qualification for tattooing bigger
Yeah.
pieces is quite a strange concept. And
Yeah,
that's why I was like, well, why can't there be something out there that
exactly.
gives other people that kind of opportunity? And we kind of, for me, my personal ambition is to regulate tattooing a little bit
Yeah,
more, a
yeah,
bit like what's happening within aesthetics.
yeah, yeah. I think it's
Just
the other way
because
around though, isn't it? Because aesthetics is new. Tattooing's not. Tattooing's been around for what, like thousands of years, would you say? Yeah,
thousands of
thousands.
years.
Because
Yeah,
people would like, I'm completely like making this up. You get like the stick and poke.
stick and poke. Yeah,
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 like yeah, right. So tattoo's been around for thousands of years.
yeah.
And if I'm being honest, that's probably why it's not regulated, because it's almost like, I'll just crack on, if you're gonna
Yeah.
put stuff all over your body, just crack on. Like, and it's
Yeah.
probably just like the nature of it. Whereas aesthetics is so new, it's like, whoa, like, hold on. We need to regulate this. But I totally agree with you. Times need to change as well,
It's more we're seeing, like within aesthetics, we're seeing so many people that are being affected by poor tattoos. It's not just the actual body scarring and the scratching up, it's the emotional. If you're stuck with a bad tattoo, like, it can change someone's life.
Yeah,
And yes, you can say laser it off, but what are the costs of lasering? What, again, are the impacts physically for a person?
yeah,
You can say cover it up, but if you've got an inexperienced artist that hasn't put it in a place that you can cover it,
yeah.
it's not an option.
That's the thing. And you know what? I think it ties in quite well with body dysmorphia as well, because when so I've got tattoos on my legs,
Yep.
which sometimes I'm like, oh, like, why did I get those tattoos? Because I'm just a different person now. I used to go to like dodgy clubs and like listen to metal music, and I'd wear like
Love it.
tights and had like a black fringe and piercings all over my face. Like that was me. So I was like, I want to get my chest done. I want to get a sleeve. Like, thank goodness I didn't, because that's so not me now. So sometimes I look and I'm like, oh, they just don't go with my outfit, and it stresses me out. But thinking
Yeah.
back, yes, I signed a consent form. I mean, my first proper tattoo was when I was 18. I've got that, which I got when I was like 16 from like an ex-boyfriend.
Yeah.
But there was no kind of consultation around, is this something you sure that you really want? You've got this on the rest of your body for the rest of your life. Obviously, I'd have gone, yeah, of course, like, because I wanted it. But like, particularly for younger clients, I think it's, like you say, there's no sort of regulation, but it can really be a mental health hazard, can't it?
It can. And tattoos do become addictive. Like, you kind of get that buzz of having it done, and that it is kind of like that pain threshold.
Yeah,
And then once it's done, you're kind of looking for the next fix, and you
yeah,
tend to find that
yeah,
within tattoo. I mean, the extremities of what certain studios do, and again, like, there's no judgment here, but I've had lots of clients who've been tattooed before, and they've got diabetes, they've got things like that, and I'm like, well, for aesthetics or PMU, that for us, it's an autoimmune
yeah,
condition. From the background within beauty, it's like, I personally couldn't risk doing that, and my
yeah,
insurers wouldn't.
yeah,
But it's just that some places ask for a medical, some places don't. Yeah, it's like,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Because I think as well, I mean, there's so many similarities between aesthetics and tattooing when you're thinking about it, because it's changing something about yourself and your your
Yes.
physical appearance. But I think with tattooing, it's kind of like, I suppose you've sort of made that decision of like, I know that I'm going to have this on my body for the rest of my life. You know, the tattooist knows that as well. Makes no odds to them. Yeah, it's such an interesting industry, and I find it so fascinating that, you know, yes, you focus on the beauty still and the teaching, which is great, but you know, your business is predominantly the tattooing side of things. And I think it's great because it shows that, you know, you don't have to do the aesthetics, you don't have to stay with aesthetics, you know, there's so many more skills you can be learning.
Absolutely. I think, you know, go where your passion, obviously, like, I mean, for me, it's important to engage in something that you love, because that obviously shows, you know, when it comes to your clients and when it comes to working with others, that's the most important thing, you know. And uh, tattooing and the art side, I kind of suppressed that for quite a few years
Yeah,
until I felt confident enough. Like, no, like, just because someone else says that it's got to be done this way, it doesn't mean that it has to be. There are other routes into it. So
yeah,
yeah, you can. That's what I do love about this industry. You can start with one thing and think that that's what you're just going to focus on, but over time, it's always developing, always.
yeah, absolutely. No, I think it's great that, you know, you're giving people the opportunity to get into that industry, because like you say, you know, there's no like pathway to tattooing courses out there.
No,
And
no.
yeah, like you say, you know, thinking about it, no wonder apprenticeships are really hard to come by. You know, if someone's a amazing tattoo artist, why do they want some like younger person there just like
It's
watching,
the
you
it's
know?
the reputation, you know, that there aren't a lot of incentives at the minute. I mean, for me, it's, you know, about the education side of it and helping people to know how to tattoo ethically. You know, just the education aspect of it is really important, because
Yeah,
there is a boom, obviously, in a lot of people transitioning from, say, PMU into tattooing. My aim is that they're doing it correctly so that we don't end up with having these horror stories of
yeah,
like tattoos going badly. And I'm hoping, and there is the hope, that with the education aspect, that one day the government might recognise that there's a need for perhaps paid apprenticeships,
yeah,
because there is no incentive. I think you do have to have that willingness if you are going to take on an apprentice. It is knowing that it is going to cost you sort of time, money.
yeah,
And like you said, there's not a lot of incentive for someone who
yeah,
potentially is already doing it and doing well. Why would they
yeah.
want to share their knowledge?
Yeah, and like you said, in terms of how you got into the industry yourself, it's sort of like a who you know, not what you know, isn't it? You know, it's,
Oh
do you
God,
have
yeah.
a friend who's in the industry? Do you know someone who knows someone? But that's not, you can't base a career on that. You know, there's people, I'm sure, with so much talent out there who are just unable to, and you can't just open up a studio. You know, you need to have the experience, you need to have the learning, and learning not only the health and safety, but also like how to actually tattoo.
It's the technique, and
Yeah,
you know, like, we don't ever promise anyone you're not exactly going to walk away and be a fully rounded artist. We never promise anyone that with any of our courses. Like,
no,
we'll teach you competency, but you have to put in the work and graft and put in the practice every day and develop your skills. Um, but absolutely, it was such a gatekept industry, and we've had students like later on in their life, you know, coming to this and being like, it's always something that I've wanted to do, but
yeah,
I've never wanted to walk into a studio and ask for an apprenticeship, or
yeah.
I've been turned away.
Intimidating, especially because
Yeah.
most studios are like, I know you can get like really cute ones these days, but like
Yes, you can.
grungy, loud music, like really
It's not for
hi,
everyone, is
can
it?
I come and can I come and learn from you?
Well, no, I mean, like my stories, I was kind of, because I had a beauty background, I was laughed out of it. And at the time I was young
Yeah.
and I didn't have that self-confidence. So I didn't feel like I could go to another studio and ask them, because it just knocked me, which is
Yeah.
why I put it, I just I was just like, oh, I'm not good enough. Obviously, I'm not good enough. And went a different route. But
Yeah.
I always say, like, you always come back to what you want to do at the end.
And also what you do now is very much based on your experience as well. You know, you've been through that. You know how it feels to be turned away. You know how it feels to be like, well, I'm stuck now. Like, what am I meant to do? So it's amazing that you're offering these opportunities. And like you say, hopefully it will just become more and more recognized. And, in like 100 years, it might be mandatory, for,
Might be the thing.
yeah, apprenticeships might just be no more. So incredible. Like, it's so inspiring. It makes me want to go get a tattoo, like talking about it as well. But just moving on to the faces at them, Victoria. So obviously you've used faces for quite some time.
Yeah.
Like we were talking about prior to recording, I think Faces is predominantly known as an aesthetics app. And that's how it started. Ash and Ben were running an aesthetics business. And so, a lot of the things we do have on the app are around aesthetics. So for example, we have the pharmacies as well. But we want everyone to know that no matter what background or what industry you are working in, this app can help run your business. So do you want to just talk to us about how, particularly from the tattoo point of view as well,
Yeah.
how Faces has helped you in terms of organizing a business, but also a growth point of view as well?
So we mainly use it for our consent forms.
Yeah.
Again, like I said, I think it's hit and miss as to whether you get a consent form in other tattoo studios. But for us, it was extremely important that we had that aspect on there. It also means that, like, no one can sort of say that they haven't had aftercare,
Yeah.
because you can hand someone a bit of aftercare, can't you? You can verbally say it to them, but half the time they're going to either forget it or they're going to put it down and not look at it. The fact that you've emailed it over to them and they've got it as a reference, also, of course, from an insurance point of
Yeah.
view,
Yeah.
you
You
got to
can't
think
say to
that.
your insurance, oh, well, I told them when they're in the studio. Like,
Exactly. And I think that's just been so helpful for us, because we can check those medical conditions beforehand, which perhaps, like I say, within tattooing, it hasn't always been done
yeah,
before. The fact that the consent forms are based from a beauty perspective, a beauty industry perspective, like those contraindications are there,
yeah,
that that's what you've got to check for. And
yeah,
it is to some of our students who have never been in beauty, but obviously are coming into tattooing, they've had tattoos and that's quite an alien concept. But it clicks. Like when I say go on the app and actually like send it beforehand to your clients, it clicks. They're like, well, why wouldn't you have done this?
yeah, exactly. And I think, like you say, there's a lot on the consent forms which, many tattooists probably don't even consider or ask. But it makes sense. It's like, of course, you want to know if they have a medical condition or are on, you're using a machine with a needle on the end on someone's skin.
The healing process, I mean, like, if anything, it tells you how the tattoo is potentially going to go, or the healing process. You know that you wouldn't touch someone that had certain conditions, because you could potentially affect them,
Yeah.
in an even worse way. So it's things like that. So the consent form app has been amazing. We do still teach aesthetics. Like we like I said, our background is still beauty and aesthetics as well. So for us, the prescriber app
Yeah.
has absolutely been a godsend.
Yeah.
Like,
That's the thing. I always say this, if I was to do a course in qualifying aesthetics, like, where do you find a prescriber if you don't have Faces? You can't just go to your GP and be like, hi guys,
no,
I need some Botox. Like,
Exactly.
Right. So I'm not a practitioner myself, but I'm always like, oh my God, like I'm so grateful that we have the prescriber search, just so anyone out there, even medical professionals, have access to prescribers so easily.
I just think that was just a selling point, because when I first got into aesthetics, people were quite cagey about who their prescribers were. So if they had a prescriber in an
Yeah.
area, it was a little bit like
They're mine.
you couldn't get names. You couldn't get names. And so having that app at that part of the app really, really helped, because like I say, at least you could connect with others and try to find out if you could get onto their books. And to think you're paying all that money for an aesthetics course to not be able to offer it because you can't get a prescriber.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awful. So it's definitely, I think, opened up a lot of avenues for people.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's great that you use it. And I think, it's like I said before, it's really important to highlight that it's not just aesthetics, it's,
Yeah,
other aspects of cosmetic beauty,
yeah,
anything, any industry you can use our consent forms because you can customize them as well. And it's
yeah.
really just having the option there to send it to your client. It also professional, shows that, you're wanting to get that information from them. You're not just waiting for them to walk into the studio or the clinic and being like, okay, they're on loads of medication. I don't know, like, can they even have this treatment? And I think a lot of people do experience that. I'd just be so anxious if that happened to me.
It's that, I mean, that was such an old school way when I first trained in beauty. It's like, yeah, you do your consultation on the day the client comes
Yeah.
in. And if they need a medical referral, it's like, well, I'm really sorry, I've wasted your journey and your time, but you need a medical
Yeah.
referral.
And you've wasted my time. Exactly.
This
Yeah.
is
Times have
it.
changed. But no, it's great that you're getting your students to really understand the contraindications, what things they should be looking out for, what things they should be asking. And I think, like you say, because I'm sure all of them, if not most of them, have had tattoos themselves, it's a bit like, I was never asked this, I was just like asked to sit on the couch and, that was it. What do you want?
Is it exactly? It's definitely, like you say, times are changing, and
Yeah, good.
it's exciting.
Exactly. So what's next for you and your business then? Because obviously what you're doing at the moment just sounds incredible, and you're still trying to push for that qualification to become a bigger and more recognized thing. But do you have plans for like growth or like other things you're going to be adding? Do you want to talk to us about that?
Oh God, yeah, definitely. So, I mean, the next thing for us, obviously, we have our face-to-face courses. We are literally just launching our Tiny Tattoos online course for
Oh
people
my God, I'm
who,
going to do it.
yeah, honestly, it I'm not just saying it. Obviously, I have put it together, but it is so comprehensive. Like, is everything I've learned in tattooing as such, and I don't feel like holding back. Like, I think you need the basics,
Yeah.
in order to be able to move on. I'm excited about it. So we are launching that with the option that, of course, you can do the face to face with us too, and obviously get that mentorship as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's launching. So if anyone's
Incredible.
obviously interested, you can get on our wait list. It
Yeah.
just means you can do your online study. You've got your video demos, but you also do have access to us, to myself,
Yeah.
and you can come and do, like I say, the upgrade to the face to face. So,
Amazing. Once it's launched, let me know because we can get it on Faces so people can
oh
purchase
my God.
Faces as well. Yeah.
Oh my God, that'd be amazing.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah. So we're so excited. We're going to be at Olympia in
Oh, amazing.
October. Yes, so we'll be at
Oh,
Olympia
oh, fantastic. Because it's Olympia and professional beauty.
and professional
Are they the
beauty.
same? Because I get
They,
emails at the same time from both.
yes. So my understanding, I don't obviously want to speak for them, is I do believe they've come together. and collaborated. So we'll be there with Ostara and Tattoo Masters Academy. So you can come and obviously talk
Amazing.
to us, like
Yes.
see us about the bigger courses as well.
Yeah.
Um, and then touring, like the next step into like New Year will be touring like the UK and doing some like tattooing conferences. So
Amazing. There's
if
one
you
in
are like,
Leeds. Come and do the Leeds one and I'll come and see
oh,
you.
there, yeah, that would
Yeah.
be awesome.
Yeah,
Um,
definitely. I love yeah, tattoo. I find like tattooists that you go and like feature in someone's studio. So like, is that so like people who want to get your work don't have to like necessarily travel, they have then the opportunity. Is that sort of the
that
main reason?
That's it. So we're like the plan is to do that, but with our education program. So
Right,
we're
amazing.
going to tour. I'm thinking like going to put on a few conferences where
Yeah.
if you are interested in tattooing or if you're a peer mute artist and you want sort of advice, it's almost like a masterclass. So
Yeah.
yeah, we're going to put that on around the UK. So if anyone wants to host us, then
Oh my
by all
God.
means.
Yes, guys, if you want to, if you're thinking, oh my God, I feel so inspired, because I feel like I want to become a tattooist now after this chat. I'm like, sign me up for the course. If
It's
anyone's
awesome.
feeling like, especially the tiny tattoo side of things, I feel like, you know, it's it is very different to your normal tattooing, isn't it? And I think
It
it's
is.
a nice way to enhance your skills, offer something a bit different as well. So if anyone's like thinking, oh my God, Botox and fillers and fat dissolving is just not really for me anymore, think about this, like 100%. I'm so excited. And I'm annoyed
Oh,
we're running out of time, so we can't cover much more. But of course, we will tag all of your links and everything. So if anyone
thank
is
you.
interested, they can contact you. Let me know when the online course is out and we can get it on Faces for you.
Oh, amazing.
Um,
Thank you.
and yeah, I've absolutely loved this chat. I really, really have.
So,
I've absolutely loved it. It's been a great start to the day. Thank you so much for your time. It's been so good speaking, lovely.
and you take
All
care.
right,
Thank
take care.
you.
Bye.
Bye.